as well.
Yeah. Right, folks, that's everybody back. So we'll make a start on the Community Development Committee meeting. Any apologies for absence?
Councillors Barris, Humphrey, Jones.
Any disclosures of interest, grants of dispensations? No. Minutes of the previous Community Development Committee were agreed at full council. There were no actions arising from it. We're going to move the agenda around slightly so that we're going to take the presentations first and then come back to the budget and the decision report. We'll bring in Charmaine to begin with. Everybody should have had a copy of the
It's in the pack, Chair.
report.
It should be through the right one.
She did say it.
Hiya, Charmaine.
Hello.
Come on in.
Next to the laptop. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And then if you can just, if you want to use it for that, just press the, so that's up on the screen there. Right, I can what hard copies.
We've all got hard
Yeah.
copies as well. Yeah.
And we use the hard copy, is that, or do you want me to put it?
I think, well, are you, Julie, can you man that? Well, tonight?
I can do, yes. Is that okay?
Yes, fine, absolutely fine. Charmaine, can we do some introductions first? I know you don't know anybody possibly here. I'm Warren, I'm the chair of the Community Development Committee. I'm the mayor at the moment.
Joe Hughes, Town Clerk, Charmaine.
Nice to meet you.
Kath Nisbet, Town Councillor for Croftwood and Brown.
Nice.
Margaret Richardson, Town Councillor for Croftwood.
Adrian Carley for Wednesday Award.
Susan Davy, Town Councillor for Kitty Brewster.
John Davy, Katie Brewster.
John Potts, Isabella Ward.
Sandra Stein, Plessy.
Daniel Clark, County and Town Council. I'm Jeffrey, also Plessy, and I'm not actually on this committee, but I wanted to come and listen to your presentation, so. That's why I'm here.
Martin Robson, New Durham and User.
Malcolm Wilson, Deputy Clerk.
Nice to meet you.
You've met Julie.
Yes, Julie.
Yeah, right. So you're here today to give us a presentation on your thoughts and ideas about running our plan.
Well, I'm quite happy for anybody who has a question as we're going along to just pop it in there. Just because sometimes when you move on, it's hard to backtrack.
Yeah.
So just a little brief rundown. My name's Charmaine. I've been doing events for about 20 years. I started off in Jersey, being involved in the, the flower, doing all the stalls for the flower, Jersey, the butterflies, and that was quite interesting. So that's 20 years ago, and as it's gone, I've progressed and done lots of events, some big, some small. So, we cover quite a lot there. I like to be very hands-on when I do an event. I'm not the type of event coordinator that just does the paperwork and then leaves it to somebody else. I'm actually involved all the time when we're doing an event. Obviously, budget's a key factor, and I do pride myself that I always manage to stay into budget. So sometimes it's difficult, but we do manage, unless a curveball comes in that we weren't expecting, then obviously that affects the budget a little bit. I do have a great team that I work with. I'm very confident in them. They're very reliable and they're all very good at their jobs. So, that's something.
Can I ask what your team's made up of then?
I have a PA myself, So she assists me all the time. I have a great security firm that I work with, very reliable. I have a sound crew. I have a wealth of experience in performers. I have security, I have marshals, and we come together as a team and everybody does their bit. So, but having said that, I'm quite happy to work with other people. I work with my own team because I'm used to them. And I know if I put somebody in charge of doing something, it's going to get done. I'm not going to find out 2 days before that it hasn't been actioned, and then I've got a panic to sort of deal with.
Yeah.
But like I say, I'm fine working with other people as well. So I'm very passionate about my events. When I take on an event, I do get kind of engrossed in it. I think because another part of my career is very creative, and events are creative because you have to bring a vision. Sometimes it's just a crazy idea and you have to make it happen, and that's quite exciting if you like that type of thing. It's scary as well, but yeah, it's nice to get on with. Obviously, living in the UK, the weather is a major factor. You can have the best event planned, and if the weather isn't kind, it can affect your event enormously. And sometimes, if the weather is so severe, the event has to be cancelled if it's outdoor. And I have to make that. And it's cancelled for safety, for the public, for the staff. And unfortunately, that has to happen, but I'm sure you're aware of that anyway.
Yeah, we are, but I'm not aware of, do we have insurance cover for things like that? Yeah. We do. We would have some insurance.
You'd have some insurance.
Yeah.
That would be, now then. Your carnival, I've had a little look to see what you kind of do and the vibe you try to bring to it. And it says to me, but correct me if I'm wrong, the carnival is very much a community driven event. Am I right there?
Yeah, yeah.
So we want to invite as many people to get involved, particularly in the parade. It would be lovely to see all kinds of people who probably wouldn't normally get involved. Our job would be to try and get them to be involved. Young, old, all kinds of people would be lovely to see if we could sort of encourage everybody to come in. Even if you've got a dog, let's get the dogs there as well, you know. People are very passionate about their animals. We have the Bedlington Terrier, and obviously we have a big parade with them. It's very well supported. So I thought if we could involve people with their dogs, they might not normally come out to something like this, but they feel comfortable, especially if it's somebody on their own. If they're on their own, they mightn't want to go to the carnival, but if they're with the animal, they do, because they don't feel like they're on it, and that's their little friend in a lot of cases. We'd like to do, I would think, dress up your pram. If it's a little one with a doll's pram right through to, and it would be lovely to see some vintage prams and everything. And get in the parade again. If you have some people that are pushing something, they don't feel as sort of alone as they would if they were, you know, working with something like that. The stalls, I noticed you had some stalls. When I've tried to get stalls to come to an event, if they are professional traders, events are very tricky for them because that's their livelihood. And when you go to an event, I know myself, if I've gone to something and the stores, I haven't been prepared for them to be there. And then they've got stuff and I think, well, I'm going to be carrying it around all day unless it's a little trinket. So I think again, to put stalls on from the community rather than inviting people to sell cakes, and you know, it could be a fundraising for various charities and you know, things like that. And these are just loose ideas, but again, they can be tightened up and you know, put into some sort of format. I wouldn't suggest that there was alcohol for sale on tombolas or anything, because you then have a problem if a child wins, you know. So I normally say if somebody's having a tombola, put your prizes on, but no alcohol. But again, if you're happy with alcohol, that wouldn't offend me. Entertainment. I always think it's a major part of an event. I have a lot of connections. I've built up a massive catalogue of professional entertainers throughout the year, not throughout the year, throughout years. And, you know, I like what we put on the stage to have a bit of a professional element to it. You can put some people who are local and want to get up and do a little bit, but I'd like to put a little bit of a more professional stamp on that, if that was okay with you. You know, you can have your displays, but always a very professional team around it to make sure it runs on time and that it doesn't wander off in directions we don't want it to. We'll keep it nice and tight. I would always use the stage with a covering over for a couple of reasons. If it's raining, all the equipment's under cover. If it's not, then you have another problem. Also, the stage doesn't get wet. So if you've got people getting on stage, you don't have an issue there. And you could put something pretty fab on. So that's basically how I see a carnival. Very community driven, with a nice structure behind it, a nice strong backbone, very safe, and something pleasurable for everybody. And we try and include something for everybody at the event, young and old. Do you have any questions?
Sure, there'll be a few. Sandra?
What sort of professional entertainment did you envisage?
What type of professional? All sorts. First of all, I mean, when I do a presentation like this, I don't lock in anything because I need to know exactly what you want before I do. But we can put from swing singers on to a band, to modern tributes, to dance groups, to whatever you like, really.
Do you have an MC?
Yeah, always, yeah.
John?
Yeah.
Yeah, can I just ask about the carnival routes? I mean, we used to always congregate on the quayside here on Marsh down to the marketplace. That's not going to be possible this year, end up in the marketplace. So are we still thinking about Ridley Park? I'm still not sure what route we would actually take to get a crowd forming to see the parade to go down to Ridley Park.
Yeah, yeah.
Have we any thoughts on that? Or?
I haven't, because I was, it's Blythe's Carnival, and normally I would get the route in the brief for me to work to, because you know what's happening with the roadworks, and I actually wouldn't. So once you gave me that, then I would follow to that brief.
Julie might be able to chip in with thoughts at the moment.
Yeah, I think the route would probably be, like Sharon has just said, I think the route would probably come more from us as a work in progress. There's a couple of ideas for the route. There's a sort of a kind of an easy, safe option, which will be the Quayside and Ridley Park. But depending on what everybody's preference is we can we can look to try to keep it in the town centre, which is where it's always been, be a little bit more tricky, needs a bit more thought. So we've kind of got a safe option we can fall back on, and then we can look at some more options where we can try to keep it in the town centre. It might not be possible with everything that's happening, and obviously with the work on the Keele Road, it just might not be realistic. So that one is a bit of a work in progress still.
Can you give us any examples of different events you've organised in the
Different
past?
events of organised. At the moment, I'm responsible for, I'd say 95% of the events that go on in West Bedlington Town Council.
Right.
So I do the 2-day family festival, which is quite a big event. It started off on the front street with about 600 people there, and it's about 8 years ago. Now it's on the 20 acres field, and we had last year approximately 6,000 people there. So it's grown and grown and grown, and I'm very, very pleased to say we always have, you know, St John's Ambulance or someone like that. And last year is the first time they've ever had to go and attend someone, and it was a dog who was dehydrated. So that's great. We've never had any problems.
Right.
It's billed as a family event. It's driven home its families, and I'm very pleased to say that's what it's worked out. But we worked hard to push it that way.
Yeah, I actually went along last year because Lindisfarne were on.
Did you like
Yeah,
them?
fantastic. They're one of my favourite bands, but yeah, it was a good event.
It is a family event, isn't it? And we have a bar there, but there's nobody abusing the alcohol. Obviously, people can bring alcohol, but it just is a family atmosphere, and that's kind of,
Mhm.
personally, I think these types of events should be for families. They shouldn't be looking at one kind of area. I do the Christmas light switch on. That's quite a big, crazy event to get organised. There's a lot to go on in a short space of time. But I also do, for the council, we have all the kids' programmes of events. This year, we're taking a coach full of kids and adults to Edinburgh Zoo. So that will be quite interesting. We've got a day trip to Lilladore at Alnwick, and I'm hoping it comes off. I've applied for football tickets to take the kids and the parent. They have to be accompanied by a parent to see a Newcastle United match,
Wow.
which is a first for me. I was shocked at how big the pitch was because I took the kids for a tour of the stadium last year as one of the events.
Yeah.
And I found it dead interesting, having never been to a football match before, you know, so that was, and the kids were all into it, asking the questions. and-
Sorry,
Yeah.
you're setting people up here. No, I'm a Sunderland supporter.
Took them to Newcastle. I had no idea football was that competitive. I really did.
Wouldn't take you long to get round some.
Especially with the trophy cabinet.
No. It's about to come up with events. When it's for the community, I try and include something on my festival to cover every age.
Yeah.
Because it's the people's money, and I don't want anybody to think they've been excluded from the event. So we have from swing singers down to a kids show, all on the same event. So people, if they don't go, then that's their choice. But we have provided something for them.
Yeah.
So that's kind of What
That's
I
your big
try,
event, is it, the 2-day festival?
that's the
big-
2-day, that's a big one.
Yeah.
Also with the Christmas lights switched on, I try and obviously that's geared more at kids, but to bring a lot of magic to it, and I think because I like it myself. So, yeah, that's
Great.
kind of when I do an event, and obviously, if you chose me to run your carnival, what I would like to see happen, you give me a bit of a brief what you want, a little bit more detail than what I've got at the minute, and then I can go away and put my spin on it to make it look a little bit new and a little bit different, but not something that the people don't recognise.
Yeah, that's great, Charmaine. Any more questions, anybody?
Sorry, Chair, did you say you work for the council?
I don't work for the council, I do their
You
events.
do the events?
Yeah,
I was just wondering how conflict with Bedlington Council and doing our carnival.
well, for my sins, my other job that I do, I'm a fashion designer. And I now make costumes for the cruise ships. And I make for P&O and I make for Fred Olsen. They're never the same. They're never the same. And I've done that for years. So I've produced the same thing, but they're completely different. So what I gave you would be different to what I gave to West Bedlington.
Okay.
And I need to do other events to get the experience to bring to you to your table as well.
Sure, yeah. That's lovely, Charmaine.
Is that okay?
Yeah, that's fantastic. Thank you very much for coming along and doing
Oh,
that
thank you for
presentation.
having me. I've been dead nervous, you know.
We're not that bad, are we?
No, you're not. Oh,
Thank you.
Thanks again, we'll let you know, yeah. Cheers. So we'll have the leading link.
Are you ready for the next?
Yeah. Sure. Then we'll go back to the agenda, go to part 2 to decide.
Martin and Malcolm's in the hall. Good upset them.
Hi, Chris.
Oh.
Come on in. Come on in. Position, right? Shall we do the introduction? Because you know a lot of people here, I think, Chris, don't you?
Yes,
Yeah,
some familiar faces.
so we'll go around anyway. I'm Warren, obviously, you know me.
I am Joe James, County Clerk.
Catherine Isbert, Croftford and Blind.
Margaret Richardson, I'm not on this meeting, but I'm the Croftford councillor.
Evening party Wednesday, Airbook.
Susan Davy, one, where on that? I was gonna say one, Rebecca, something like that, age, sorry.
And John Potts, Isabella Ward.
Stand for Stan, get Bessie Ward.
Daniel Castle, Whitewood, Jeffrey, Plessy Ward, and I'm not on this either, but I want.
Yeah.
Mark Hobson, Udell. Malcolm Wilkinson, Deputy Sam Clark.
And obviously, we know Julie.
And my name is Chris Johnson, and I'm the operations and finance manager for Leading Link. I am not smart.
Right, over to you. Yeah.
You want me in charge of the tax? It started playing, so it started doing it kind of automatically.
We've done that one, so that's me. Just to do that one. So I'm sure most of you will know Leading Link and what we've done, just to go into aren't aware of what Leading Link do, I've gone around for about 12 years now. We're based at St Benedict's School site in Bedlington. Over the last 12 years, and certainly the last 3 to 4 years, it has grown significantly. And there's now kind of 4 areas that we look at. So we've got Leading Link Young Leaders. So we have around about 125 young leaders across Northumberland in different areas that we do different activities with. We've got a cohort of probably round about 50 odd in South East Northumberland that we regularly do activities with, which led us on to develop Leading Link Future Proof, which is about giving young people that are coming up to age of leaving school more experience about what it's like in real life. So not just a work experience where they get sent out for a week, they're actually put in front of businesses. We work with the kids, we find out what their interests are, what we want to do, and then we go out and find links for those to go and experience not just what it's like to be a fireman, but to go around and see all of the other aspects of being with that and do some real interaction and engagement with them. We're also commissioned by Northumberland County Council as an organisation, so they're responsible for Northumberland County Council's HAF provision, which is funding for predominantly free school meal children. That reaches right across Northumberland. We're just coming into our kind of 2.5 years, because we started it midway through a term, and we started with about 250 families and a big spreadsheet, and we've now got about 3,800 families across Northumberland, all linked in with a big online portal where they get credits and they can log in, they can choose a range of activities, and we've put on provisions such as Easter camps, summer camps, winter camps, activities for younger ones and their families to go and enjoy, all making sure they're all wrapped up with a lunch offer, so it fits in with the HAP guidelines. So we do a range of things, all of which are sort of youth focused with young in mind, which is why I stand before you. Was a nearly 49-year-old fat balding man with a superhero hoodie on the back, but they like everybody to all be together, so I'll go with it and it'll be fine. Obviously, we have delivered the carnival in the past. We've got some good experience of putting on adverts. So I've been with the organisation nearly 4 years now, when I realised yesterday, which seems to have flown past from when I first started, from my days at the Phoenix Theatre before COVID. But have been involved with the operation of the carnivals ever since joining the organisation. Obviously, we work closely with the events coordinator on these, and we've got a good working relationship now about how it could work. I know at the end of the last one, there was a few conversations about how we can improve things, how we can make things more streamlined. There was an interesting comment came up about that as well, about who was doing what and how we could actually manage that finance better, so we actually get more value out of that using the council's VAT rate as opposed to ours that isn't. Leading Link as a company has great community links as well, with local businesses, with schools, community groups, residents associations, and certainly with our link with NHP, the holiday provision. We have links with a lot of providers and a lot of people that are interested to come along, get involved and support what it is that we're doing. So for all this is based in Blythe, I'd like to think that we can actually widen that scope so there's more people coming into Blythe and into the event. My hand is. One of the things that we'd like to do differently this year, and we've probably got a little bit more scope to do it, we're not going to be on the market square this year, is to create 4 kind of zones. I will say those are just ideas. I have stolen those logos. They are not mine. We don't own them before anybody. There'll be something along those areas. But creating more of an area. So we've got food, create, be active and challenge. And because we'd like to create it more of sort of a mini kind of festival, a village festival approach rather than just a carnival. So we don't want the emphasis to just be on the parade. There's a few little things to do. We want it to be more engaging, where people will want to come to an event where there are different areas of that to explore. Obviously food. In the past, we've just had a couple of vendors. We'd like to increase that more, so it's a proper sort of hub of different food providers. We've got the creative zone, which is dedicated to sort of crafting and keeping the younger ones occupied and some of the older ones as well, if they are that way inclined. Challenge is about physical challenges in games, so where we can spread out a little bit more, where we can get some providers in, get some organisations in, because the kids really like doing things with ropes and throwing things and chucking things and all that kind of stuff. So we're going to encourage some physical activity in there. And be active is more around the community link of that. So if we could get some organisations involved that are recruiting, that are looking for people, what's on in your area, what more people can get involved with, signed up stations, signposting, that sort of thing in an area, rather than it just being spread out and a bit kind of all over the place in the 2 rows that we've had in the past on the market square. It's brilliant for when it comes to crowd control, but we know that has its limitations when it's all in a line with a big gap in the middle. So we kind of looked to play around how we can do that. So it's much more of an interactive feeling. And again, we can have that with flags or different zones or different areas, or even kind of handouts on the day that says, this is what's happening and where. But to give it those 4 zones that we've got more scope to engage with than just being in a single stall holder. We always have a stage. We'd like to do that more, have a bigger stage, have more things that happen on the stage. You can see there is a wealth of talent in Blyth. And we're looking for more talent, not that that wasn't good enough, but so we can have a bit more of a performance area. We know there's a different theme every year. Obviously, I don't know what your thoughts are about a theme. We quite like a Pirates Takeover. We have done a lot of work with Q20 events through our connection with Northumberland Holiday Provision. They are the company that are behind the metronomes at the Metro Centre. And if you go to one at Castle, they are the people that do everything that's wizardry, because you can't call it Harry Potter anymore. So they do all the wizardry stuff up at Alnwick Castle. We have toured some pantos with them.
You all know you have.
Oh, yes, we have. Well done, sir. Glad you listened. Just when I throw things at you as well. So one of the thoughts we had was actually doing a pirates theme, because as I say, I've done a little bit of delving, and they do have a magnificent 35-foot long pirate ship that comes with pirates and all sorts of stuff. And we thought actually, as a theme, we can do some involvement with the schools, get thinking about pirates, and there'll be no raping and pillaging, and we'll edit that bit out of pirate life and just make it the fun kind of it with the chanting and the singing and lots of laughter and lots of music. So we'd kind of like to explore that theme as a pirate takeover. Obviously, we got really good engagement with some of the local schools. We'd like to increase that. We'd like to work with a few more schools to get those involved. We do run sessions on the build up to the carnival. We'd like to get a bit ahead of the game on this one, because sometimes time pressures and getting into school calendars is quite difficult. But working to curate either the things they're going to be holding, wearing, throwing, anything like that. Lots of flags, lots of banners, lots of kind of big things to say, we are here. And we're doing it. I think this is a kind of a critical carnival because of the move. And I know there's a lot of good things happening in Blyth, and not everybody's like to take it as a good thing that's happening in Blyth, which is really frustrating. But I think just an event where we can get the community together and say, actually, yes, this is happening, but don't forget there's also X, Y, and Z. I don't know if your thoughts are about the location of it. There's a couple of options straight away. Obviously, it's either Ridley Park or down here on the front, or a mixture of the two. But I like the thing with a plan about having the zones and stuff, once it's landed on where it's going to be, I think that will work really well in either location or a mixture of both. We still obviously want to do the parade and have a starting point and an end point for that. So we need to make sure that it ties up nicely along with the theme of the day. And then just a sort of a summary. Again, we'd like to start really early, as soon as we can, actually, with the engagement on this year's carnival. Talked about either location would be fine, but it's just to summarise. Obviously, we've delivered this before successfully. Short notice one just after COVID, and built on them for the previous 2 or 3 of those. We've got the contacts and we've got the drive, we've got the determination to make these events work. We've got really good links with the community, and we do operate, and I think it's inbuilt on us from the young people, we operate on a can-do attitude. We don't like to say no. We will always look for, you know, if there's a rule or a regulation comes in, how can we deal with that? How can we get around it? How can we manage it? How can we make it a success? And again, to continue to help all of these people around Blyth to get Blyth put on the map. The end of my presentation. I have no idea whether that was 5 minutes or not. But happy to take any.
Thanks, Chris. Time for questions, folks.
Not long division, because I'm rubbish at long division.
Anybody want to start up? John?
Just for the carnival route really, because our procession is quite an important bit of it.
Mm.
And I'm not quite sure how we're gonna do that this year. You know, the road works and Bridge Street Markets closed. I'm not sure, great, assembled here and you might go to Ridley Park. Quite how many people actually see it and maneuverability with a ship as well, getting on board.
Yeah, the ship is it sits on a big trailer, but it does actually drive itself. It's a motorized thing. So as long as you get something with a trailer on it, you're fine. It covers grass as well, because it's fairly spread out. So the pirate ship, if that's the theme that we want to land on, that shouldn't be an issue with that. Parade wise, you're really only looking at from A to B or B to A. So you're either looking from that end heading here or vice versa. Thinking of the route down and past the chip shop and all the rest of it, just, I think it would be too little. I don't think you get enough people round there, the volumes that turn up. We know that the quayside can hold volumes of people because obviously the tall ships we hear and there's various things we put in place to kind of safeguard people suddenly getting wet when they weren't expecting to. But I think if it's one of those things that it's a trial it, and what we'll do is we'll go and pace it out and actually work out and measure, right, how much space do we need for setup? How can we get the vehicles there? How will it work? It's doable. It's achievable. But I think it's really cool that there is one in the carnival. It'd be a shame not to have it.
Maybe you got,
Last year you provided all the gazebos and tents as well, didn't you? Are they yours or?
Yes.
You hired them in?
Yes, so the gazebos are ours. They come with their own joyful worries of wind, because we've now lost the second windiest place in Blythe and are now considering putting it on the first windiest place in Blythe. So I think that we'd need to look at options of how we can anchor those, and I know there are companies out there that will actually come in and do a proper signed off set, and it might be, again, it works a bit more with the zones. If we had areas that would be done, wouldn't necessarily need lots of little gazebos. We could actually do things with some bigger marquees instead, and put more providers into an area within that marquee instead of little ones. But we can use the gazebos as pop-ups along a route or as shelter, or some, as long as we've got something that we can strap them to that won't disappear off down there. The water would be good.
Lauren?
I was going to ask you about how, if you had any plans to innovate, just, you know, as the years go by, it's nice to see things progressing and changing and moving on. But then you came up with his own thing, you see, and it's like, oh, well, there you go. That's new, it's nice, I like that. But there's one question I'll ask you, in that, you know, I've got a big family in Blythe, they all come down for carnival. And the one thing that they always say is to go home with money in their pockets. It'd be nice if they spent that money on things at the carnival, and it's kind of, the old setup that just wasn't enough, you know.
You can't give stuff away for free, can you?
So I'm saying about it, there was just not enough stuff there to
do. Yeah, it's always that, it is that difficult thing about putting on a community event that you want to encourage the community to go to, but at the moment, especially at the moment, there are so many people that don't have the money to spare. So, for example, with the rides and stuff, up until last year, there was a small charge that went with a ride, and we said, look, we won't charge the small fee for you, whether 50 quid for you being there. We need you to reduce your prices. And we know from feedback that actually the fact that the ride cost 150 as opposed to 350 made a massive difference when you've got a family of four and you haven't got a lot of money. So I think it is probably striking that balance. But I think, again, we can look at these zones as getting more things in, either to buy or to pay to go on or to use. But I would worry about being an event that we try and kept as low cost as possible to attend, moving it, and then people feeling that it was mandatory to buy something or pay something. So it's probably about getting that middle ground of getting a balance right. So if they want to, they can, but if they don't want to, they don't have to. And we probably missed that in the past, and we've tried to go down the free route, but it's certainly something we can look at and get more stuff in like that.
Can I just mention on what Martin said there, we have talked in the event working groups about moving the carnival to a Saturday. So with that, you would then have more businesses open. So then there is a little bit more of an option for people to maybe go and buy something to eat or go to a shop. That might kind of be the balance, that there's things open, whereas in the past on a Sunday, everything's predominantly shut. So there might be that kind of, that might be the balance that you need, whereas if they want to go spend money, they can, but it's not forced on the event, if that makes sense.
Yeah, but I certainly think there could certainly be more scope to building that into it.
I like the idea of the 4 zones and that, Chris. Would you still be looking to have a stage area as well?
Yes, I think it's important to have it's almost like a centerpiece, if you like, almost for, if we can do it logistically where the parade ends up, because it's good to talk people through and be able to give the shout outs of who's involved. And again, depending on the location, the stage will either be at the head of it or possibly surrounded it. So if it's in Ridley Park, it could be sort of similar to where you have the bandstand and the zones around on the other big areas. If it's out the front, we might look to put the stage on the hard standing and everything else up of it. But I think having that stage in that certainly performance area, because when you've got crowds of people, we've done it before where we've had a big dance troupe that was bigger than we thought. We said to them, look, the stage is a bit wet because the chances are it's going to rain. They then perform on the floor.
Yeah.
And only your first 3 or 4 rows then get to see it. Everybody else can hear it, and then it kind of get a bit lost. I'm not suggesting that we build a stage the size of the Theatre Royal, but I think something that is elevated or far enough away that more people can gather to see it might solve a problem of having something as high. Again, that would depend on location and logistics of how we could actually, or what we're building that stage on. But I've got good connections with a company called Tyne Audio that provided the stage and the sound for the last couple of years, who are theatre industries that building stages on car parks like that and various different things. So wherever we end up, I'm confident we won't have a sinking issue.
And who would be on the team helping you out?
So at the moment, it would be I would be leading it. There's Vicky, who's our lead administrator. She's been involved with the last 2 carnivals. We have Jack, who's our business admin support, and Karen, who's in a couple of days working on Future Proof, and Karen will be able to support on that. And also our young leaders are allowed, because they do like to be involved in these things. So we often set them away
Yes.
with different aspects, and then that tends to come up with the design of the poster and all that kind of stuff.
I
Right.
was going to say, also have your young leaders there.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
Are you still thinking about drums? Or is that?
He wants to be a
If we frowned upon it, we didn't have some for it.
I know fish and chips.
Good. Right.
Are you offering to lead the way again on the drum?
I've just got I like chips and gravy embedded in my mind ever
Tell you what,
since
that's
trying to get the big.
Cece's getting
Yeah.
better in it, don't you?
Right, any further questions, anybody?
No.
No, that was a really good presentation. Thanks for that, Chris.
No problem at all.
We'll go through the rest of the agenda, go into part 2 where we'll discuss this, and then we'll come up with a decision.
Yeah.
All right.
Excellent. Thank you for your time,
Thanks
everybody.
Sorry for the bad joke.
Wait till you make it be
It wasn't as bad as it, wasn't as bad as it's just done on gold, like.
I missed that one, look. See
Oh, good.
you later.
See ya. Cheerio. Right, we'll zip back to the agenda proper.
Item 5, Chair.
Item 5 is the Community Development Budget Monitoring Report. It's really just a statement of where we were on 6th of Feb 2024. Does anybody want to raise anything about?
No comments.
No comment, John. Okay. Excellent. Okay, item 6 is the decision report on food bank. Now, somebody raised this, I can't remember who it was, but the recommendation is that the committee resolved to agree to make a regular 6 monthly donation of £5,000 to the food bank until further notice. Joe, you did this report, do you want to
Yeah,
sum it up?
yeah, Chair, it was just a suggestion that because of the socio-economic situation in the town and the difficulties that people are having, and the fact that there's a lot of people going to the food bank, that perhaps we should be more proactive and actually make a donation to the food bank regularly so that it can get provisions in and help people really. So that's what was suggested, and that's what the report's about. I think we're talking about £5,000 every 6 months, but it would be subject to review. Depending on what the food bank felt about the situation, they might feel eventually that they can stand on their own 2 feet, but at least that's what we're proposing.
Yes, Jeff.
Chair, I'm not on this committee, but I wanted to come and listen to the presentations, and I want to just thank you for taking this up. I think it's, you know, it's a far more all-embracing scheme that I had in mind, so well done for that. So, you know, I hope you all support it, because I think it's what we should be doing.
Yeah, I just think the food bank is much needed at these sad times. And it also saves them from coming back to try for funds from the grants. So I'm all for this because, as I say, well, it's really much needed in the town.
Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah, John, I mean, it's good that people donate food, but quite often the food bank itself knows what it wants, but it needs the money to go out and buy those particular items. So,
Yeah.
it has to be donated, so it works better with cash really.
Absolutely. Sandra?
So I was speaking to somebody who's regularly hemmed in by pasta. And I was, cool up with that, John.
Yeah, Martin?
Just look where it says until further notice. That's a long time. So I was wondering about how frequently are you intending to review it? With the intention it could be more money that we want to give, couldn't it?
Well, it could be, as Joe mentioned, it would be reviewed.
Yes.
So once a year,
Well,
a
I
meet
think
like this.
we'd see how it goes, Chair, but I think every time we make a donation after the first one, we would be asking them and engaging with them and see how things were going.
Yeah.
I think that's the way it would go.
I mean, I know from personal experience, the demand is, you know, has gone through the roof, particularly recently. We just had a big day at Asda on Sunday, where it never ceases to amaze me, the generosity of people in Blythe and just donating certain items of food and that. But if we didn't do things like that and get the cash alongside it, as Sandra mentioned, the food bank wouldn't be able to exist, clearly. Sorry, who else wanted to come in there, Daniel?
Just some little questions, Chair. Like I just was curious, as you mentioned before, who brought it forward, and then when in the report of risk management it says there's sufficient headway, is that obviously saying that we've got an underspend or something?
We've got money in the grants budget, really. That's what I was talking about, Daniel.
Oh,
And we're into mid-February now, so I think the last grants budget is finished for this year anyway. The last grant committee, sorry, I should say. So there's enough money there to do it, certainly to make the 5,000 donation, and then I would envisage that it would be any further donations would come from the same pot. But if there was stress on that budget next year, obviously we would let you know about that, and presumably you would think about meeting it from, excuse me, balances.
As long as the balances are good and you know it's something we can do, then yeah, let's do it.
There's always more money in the end of the year. Whatever anybody says, there's always more money than less.
I was giving you that lead in line. Yeah. Boom.
But well done, that's really good report, really pleased.
Anybody else? Sandra?
Recommendation.
Recommendation.
Second that.
I'll second it. Thank you for your support on that one, everybody. Excellent. No delegated actions. There isn't any other business. Date and time of the next meeting is Thursday, 27th of June. And now we'll move into part 2.